What is your relationship with your father? What is the relationship with your mother? These are really important questions that often reveals the root cause of difficulties you may encounter in your life. The relationship we have with our mother as an archetypical role, an archetypical value that connects us with our life, with our inner life especially, while the relationship we have with our father reveals how we relate to the world outside. So in this video, I would like to tell you something more about how this works. What are the things that can go wrong in your life if the relationship with one of your parents is not brought into an harmonious balance? And I want to be really clear. The healing, if there is something that does not work, it's an internal healing. It's finding a way to open your heart to your parents and respect them and feel the love connection with them. It does not mean that you need to engage with them in a different way. Some parents, unfortunately, are in such a bad place that engaging with them can be really toxic. So you may have developed a coping mechanism that may very well be perfectly efficient. There are also cases where the moment you start to work on this archetype, on what they mean, that things start to smell, and that you can also transform the way you look at your parents in a way that really affects your relationship with them. Let's start from the mother. The mother represents life, represents nourishment. So our relationship with life, do we feel, do we trust that life it's good, that the world is that the universe is a good place where life it's an enjoyable experience? Or we are a bit more on the defensive when it comes to life, opening up to life. The mother represents also the relationship with nourishment, so how we feed ourselves, our relationship with food in general, with everything that can nourish us. Do we feel like we deserve to be nourished? Also on an intellectual level, be taken care of? Do we feel like we are caring only of others, or are we really caring of ourselves? Do we really treat ourselves as royalty, in the sense, do we really prioritize our needs, our growth, so that we can also serve better? This is not per se an egoistic pursuit, but it's really a sense of, if I am healthy, I can be the best colleague, the best mother, the best partner. And healthy is healthy physically, is healthy mentally, it's healthy on a spiritual level, feeling in a good place. Do we really prioritize what's good for us? And also all our feeling life, all our sensitivity is connected with the mother archetype and can be influenced if there is a disconnect, a disharmony, or something out of balance in the area of relationship with the mother and motherhood in general. The mother represents also the principle of duty. So from the connection we have with our mother, we get this sense of duty. That can also be it doesn't mean that you have a bad relationship with your mother, you do not have sense of duty, but the way you relate to that, it's influence, and it can be influenced in different ways. We'll see in a little while, in the way it is affected by the way you relate to your mother. Going a bit more in specific, when you experience resentment towards your mom for whatever reason, but when you get stuck in that anger, in that resentment, what you may experience as a result of this dissonance, of this disbalance with the archetype, is you take less from life. You reject life. You have a resentment. You are angry. So you say, no, I don't want you, and I don't want life because you represent life. And that can mean also economic losses, lack of abundance, you may have also for this reason not really a sense of being maternal and not really liking children. The idea of children or working with children, for instance, that's the result of resentment. Sometimes you have some kind of pity. There is a kind of if your mom have been going through harshness, that you feel this pity, and that as a result, you do not allow yourself to be happy. It's like you do not give yourself permission to be happier than your mother have been. But doing that, you are actually pitying her. So you're saying, you poor little thing, I will be loyal to you, so I will not be happier than you are. While your mom would say, be happy in my honor. Be the next generation. Show me that my sacrifice, my being unhappy is not affecting you. Be happy in my honor. Something else that can happen is that you feel guilty because you may feel like maybe you have a single mother that raised you alone, and you may feel you have been a burden. You influence negatively the life of your mom. And if you have this, you feel like you need to punish yourself. And you can do that creating unconsciously, because these things happen unconsciously, but still happens. You can end up having problem with your health, with money, with your relationship, with your work, because you need to punish yourself. So you attract somehow in your life this kind of situation. The moment you can release that and accept the gift that your mom gave you, your mom was an adult and made a choice to have you. She may have had harshness, but she came through that. You are the result of it. So when you manage to do that shift and let go of the guilt, you may notice that a number of punishing things in your life may dissolve. Another thing that can happen, and that happens really a lot, in positive and negative, that there is a sense of superiority. So you may have a kind of judging your parents, your mother in this case, for not being, good enough in a way, or you may positively judge her in the sense that you take over, you do things for her, you become the confidant. And that's also a way to judge her unfit to live her own life as an adult. And what happens when you put yourself on top of your mom with arrogance, with pride, with insolence, is that you cut your access to the female line, to the power of your female line, because there should be the parents and the children feeling the parents on their back, supporting them. But when you move up and say, no, my parents need to be supported because I judge them, I feel superior, then you cut the line. They are your access to the female line, your mother, and to the male line, to the power that comes from that energy. So this is the most important side effect when you go into the superiority towards your mother. And you may have a sense of always feeling unsatisfied, because when you put yourself also in a superior position, you do not get what you need from the family tree. So there is always dissatisfaction. Nothing else in your life will give you the satisfaction, the fulfillment that you get when you feel the strength from your family. So honoring your family, respecting that they are capable of living their destiny, giving them back a certain dignity, respect, that can make a big difference in your own well-being. Let's go and look to the father side. The father archetype, it's related to the orientation, to how you orient yourself in the outside world, the guide, the outside world, the planning, the reality, the rules, and the principle of pleasure. So everything that has to do with your relationship with the outside world. So when you have a difficulty in the relationship with your father, and the difficulty with both parents can be like, it can be subtle. It can be like, no, I have a good relationship, we call, we talk, but you know that you do not have the bond, you do not feel that they are there for you, you do not feel you can lean on them, you don't feel you can really open your heart, you don't feel that there is real respect for their seniority, for what they managed to achieve, and acceptation for everything that they did not manage to provide you. So be really careful when you look at these and don't minimize the difficulties you may have to really open up your heart. But if you notice that there is even slight resentment, slight anger, with regards to your father, you will notice in your life that you struggle to trust people, that you may have a tendency to keep things for yourself, almost being introvert, to stay in your comfort zone. And you may feel really uncomfortable with change, because these are all things that make you in contact, in an engaged contact with the outside world, that we said it's really linked to the father. So if you have a kind of resentment, there is a rejection and anger. So you don't want to engage, so you don't trust people, you stay with yourself, you stay a bit introvert in your comfort zone, and you don't go for change. When you pity your father, you may have problem about vocation. You may struggle to find your way in life, or to make it happen if you found it. And so the moment you give dignity back to your father, you respect, you acknowledge that he's a senior and deserves your respect, and that you have no business feeling sorry for him, things may shift in your relationship with your work and your vocation. When you feel guilty because you may feel that you took too much from your father, you go in the same dynamic of I described with regards to feeling guilty towards the mother. So you may end up punishing yourself. In this case, the punishment it's more visible in your relationship with the outside world. So in more work-related things, economic loss, endeavors that have to do with your relationship with the outside world. So the moment you reconcile this, you accept the gift of your father, you don't feel guilty for whatever you may have received, then you may notice changes in this area. When you are superior, when you feel superior, when you take the place of your father and you start judging him or taking care of him, there is a certain insolence and arrogance also in taking care of thinking you are better, you can do better because you maybe studied more or you feel you are more clever. You don't access the power of the male line, and that has different role if you're a man or a woman, but still we both, men and women, have masculine and feminine side. We need them both. So when we switch off one of these axes, it has great consequences in how we function. Now, the way you can reconcile this is with family constellation that can be individual, in group, but it's not something that just by, hearing this information can bring up a reflection. That's for sure. That's what I hope. That's why I make this video for you. There may be something more needed to really heal, especially when it comes to the relationship with the parent. It's really often something that goes really deep. So it may require quite some work, some commitment also to do the work, to let go of things that are so deeply seated. At the same time, it works. It's extremely pleasurable to find this new relationship with your parents, and it can be as easy as saying, you are and will always be my father. I am and I will always be your daughter or son. And the same with your mother. You are and you will always be my mother, and I am and I will always be your child or your son or your daughter. So it can be as easy as repeating inside of yourself these affirmations that are simply the truth, but can really help you to take your rightful place in the family trees. And when you have your place, you have access to all the energy that comes from the female line, male line. You have access to all the experiences, to all the goodies that come transgenerationally to you. I hope this helped. Let me know if you have any comment or question, and find more information in my website about what I do around family constellation.